Egypt, a land carved by the Nile, blessed by the sun, and built upon the eternal stones of time. For over 7,000 years, its people shaped one of the greatest civilizations in human history. From the dawn of the first dynasties in the ancient capital of Memphis to the golden age of Thebes and the mighty pyramids that rose toward eternity, Egypt stood as a beacon of knowledge, power, and faith. In this film, we'll journey through the major ages of pharaonic Egypt, the rise of the early kingdoms, the glory of the Old Kingdom and its pyramids, the Middle Kingdom's art and literature, and the New Kingdom, an era of empire, temples, and legendary pharaohs like Hatshepsut, Akhenaten, and Ramses the Great. We'll uncover the mysteries of their gods and beliefs, explore their daily lives, and witness how their monuments still whisper across deserts and along the Nile. Stories of ambition, devotion, and eternity. This is the story of Egypt, the civilization that never truly died. Before the age of the pharaohs, Egypt was not yet a single kingdom. For thousands of years, small farming villages thrived along the life-giving Nile, cultivating wheat and barley, domesticating animals, and building the first permanent settlements in Africa's heartland. These early communities developed distinct pottery, tools, and burial customs, each reflecting its own regional identity. As trade and contact between the North and South increased, small chiefdoms began to merge, ruled by local leaders who sought power and prestige. Over centuries, a process of cultural and political unification unfolded, symbols, art, and beliefs slowly blending into one shared identity. By around 3100 BCE, a powerful ruler from Upper Egypt, often identified as Narmer or Menes, achieved what no one had before. He united Upper and Lower Egypt under a single crown. This moment marked the birth of dynastic Egypt, a civilization that would endure for 3 millennia, shaping the course of human history. The early dynastic era marked the true beginning of Egyptian civilization. From around 3100 to 2700 BCE, Egypt became a unified kingdom ruled by divine kings, pharaohs who were seen not just as rulers, but as living gods on earth. For the first time, the institutions of power took shape: a royal court, scribes and officials managing resources, and the birth of a state bureaucracy that kept order along the Nile's vast territories. Writing emerged: hieroglyphs, a sacred script of images and symbols carved on stone and painted on temple walls. Through writing, Egypt preserved its memory, recorded its kings, and communicated with its gods. The capital, Memphis, rose near the point where Upper and Lower Egypt met, a strategic and symbolic heart of the new kingdom. Here, early kings built their royal tombs, large rectangular structures called mastabas, precursors to the pyramids. The visual language of kingship was born: the double crown, the false beard, the pose of power, and the idea of eternal rule, all created in this era. These foundations, divine kingship, centralized rule, writing, and monumental architecture, would define Egypt for the next 3,000 years.
The Old Kingdom, known as the Pyramid Age, marked the height of royal power and ambition in ancient Egypt. From around 2700 to 2200 BCE, Egypt entered a golden age of unity, wealth, and monumental architecture. For the first time in history, the state mobilized its full strength, thousands of workers, craftsmen, and architects to build in stone on a scale the world had never seen. At Saqqara, King Djoser, guided by his architect Imhotep, built the first monumental structure of cut stone, the Step Pyramid, a revolutionary vision that rose toward the heavens. A century later, on the plateau of Giza, the dream of eternity reached its peak. Here, the pharaohs Khufu, Khafra, and Menkaure commanded the construction of the Great Pyramids, symbols of divine kingship and human genius. These immense tombs, perfectly aligned with the stars, embodied Egypt's belief in cosmic order, Mat, the eternal balance between chaos and harmony. Art and sculpture of this era idealized perfection. The calm faces of kings, the precise proportions of statues, and the eternal stillness of reliefs carved in stone. Every image served one purpose: to preserve the ruler's divinity forever. In the Old Kingdom, the pharaoh was not merely a man. He was the axis between heaven and earth, the living embodiment of order, ensuring the universe itself remained in balance. This was the Pyramid Age, the age when Egypt reached for eternity.
After the mighty age of the Old Kingdom, Egypt entered a time of decline and division. Central authority crumbled, provincial governors gained power, and rival dynasties ruled from different cities. The Nile's floods became unpredictable, bringing hunger and despair. Without strong kings to organize resources, people turned to local leaders and faith for survival. This first intermediate period reminds us that even the greatest civilizations can falter when the river's rhythm breaks and leadership loses balance.
Out of the chaos of division, Egypt found new strength. The Middle Kingdom marked a rebirth, a time of reform, unity, and order. Pharaoh Mentuhotep II reunified the two lands under Thebes, restoring stability and faith in the throne. Later, Amenemhat I moved the capital north to Ichawi, rebuilding Egypt's administration and expanding irrigation and mining projects to fuel prosperity. This era valued wisdom and justice. Literature flourished with texts like the Instructions of Amenemhat and the Tale of the Eloquent Peasant, reflecting a deeper, more human voice. In art, faces became expressive and personal. The divine king was now also a man who carried the weight of his people's hopes.
Egypt, once united under mighty kings, fell into division. The great Old and Middle Kingdoms had passed, leaving behind fading glory. The central government weakened, famine struck, and local rulers competed for power. From beyond Egypt's borders, new people arrived, the Hyksos, coming from Western Asia through the Delta. They didn't invade at once. They settled, traded, and slowly took control. Their capital at Avaris in the eastern delta became a powerful stronghold. With horses, chariots, and advanced bronze weapons, the Hyksos transformed warfare in Egypt, a land that had never seen such machines before. In the south, Egyptian rulers in Thebes still held their ground, proud, defiant, and waiting. One of them was King Sekenenre Tao, remembered as the Brave. He began resisting the Hyksos, refusing to pay tribute to a foreign ruler. The struggle was brutal. Sekenenre died in battle, his skull showing deep axe wounds, a martyr for Egypt's freedom. His sons continued the mission. Prince Kames took up arms, leading daring campaigns northward. His armies burned Hyksos forts, captured towns, and cut their supply routes. Kames's words were carved in stone. He swore to drive the foreigners from Egypt forever. Then came Ahmose, the warrior king who would finish what his father and grandfather began. Ahmose reorganized the army, trained charioteers, and gathered Thebes' full strength. Battle after battle, the Egyptians advanced north. At last, they stormed Avaris, the Hyksos capital, forcing the invaders to flee across Sinai. Ahmose didn't stop there. He pursued them into Canaan, ensuring they could never return. Egypt was free again, united, strong, and reborn. From the ashes of the Second Intermediate Period rose a new empire, the New Kingdom, the age of greatness and conquest. With the Hyksos expelled and Egypt reunited, a new age of power began, the New Kingdom. It was Egypt's golden empire, the most ambitious, the most creative, and the most far-reaching in its long history. From Thebes, mighty pharaohs ruled lands stretching from the deserts of Nubia to the mountains of Syria. Wealth, art, and monumental architecture flourished on a scale never seen before. Early rulers like Ahmose and Amenhotep I rebuilt the nation and its temples, laying the foundations of empire. Then came Hatshepsut, the queen who became king. Her reign was one of peace, prosperity, and magnificent construction. She sent great trade expeditions to the mysterious land of Punt and raised her mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahari, a masterpiece carved into the cliffs of western Thebes. After her, Thutmose III transformed Egypt into a superpower. Through more than 17 campaigns in Asia, he conquered cities, forged alliances, and filled Egypt's treasury with the riches of the world. He was called the Napoleon of ancient Egypt. Then came Akhenaton, the heretic pharaoh, who broke with tradition. He abandoned the old gods and worshipped a single deity, the Aten, the sun's disk. In his new capital at Amarna, art became naturalistic, emotional, and human. But his revolution divided Egypt, and after his death, the old ways returned. Tutankhamun, the boy king, restored the ancient religion and the prestige of Amun. Though he died young, his tomb, found almost intact in the Valley of the Kings, gave the modern world a glimpse of Egypt's royal splendor. Finally, Ramses II, the Great, ruled for over 60 years. He built temples that dwarfed all before them, Abu Simbel in the south, and the grand halls of Karnak and Luxor. He fought the famous Battle of Kadesh against the Hittites and signed one of history's first peace treaties. Under Ramses, Egypt stood at its zenith, a civilization of stone, faith, and immortality. This was the New Kingdom, Egypt's age of empire and innovation, when gods walked with kings
and the land of the Nile shone brighter than ever before.
The glory of the new kingdom gradually faded. After centuries of empire, Egypt entered another age of division and transformation. Power fragmented once again, rival dynasties ruled from Thebes, Tanis, and other regional centers. The once mighty pharaohs became local kings, their authority challenged by priests, foreign settlers, and shifting alliances. Libyan chiefs settled in the delta, marrying into Egyptian families and founding new dynasties. In the south, Nubian rulers from the kingdom of Kush rose in power, proud inheritors of Egyptian culture. They marched north and reunited Egypt under their own line of pharaohs, the 25th dynasty, bringing a revival of art, piety, and architecture. Temples were rebuilt and ancient traditions renewed. For a moment, Egypt seemed reborn. But the world had changed. From Mesopotamia came new empires, first the Assyrians, then the Persians, sweeping through the Near East. Egypt became a prize in their wars of conquest. The Assyrians invaded, sacking Thebes. Later, the Persians ruled Egypt as a satrapy, a province of their empire. Yet even under foreign rule, Egypt's spirit endured. The late period saw artists, scribes, and priests revive the old language, the old gods, and the old forms. It was a cultural renaissance, the last great echo of pharaonic civilization. Then, in 332 BCE, the world shifted once more. Alexander the Great entered Egypt, welcomed as a liberator. With him began a new chapter, the Ptolemaic dynasty, when Greek and Egyptian worlds became one, and the ancient age of the pharaohs finally gave way to history.
Pharaonic Egypt was not a single monolith, but a long, living story, a rhythm of unity, collapse, renewal, and adaptation. Through millennia, its stones still speak of power and devotion, of human creativity that defied time itself. If the gods of Egypt were here, they'd probably say, "Honor the channel, subscribe now, and join the legacy of the Nile."